24, Georgia Combe Edwards. Sydney, Australia. Medical student. I have 1 year to go. I have an inkling towards paediatrics and an inkling to emergency, but there's really no justification for either of those. I wanted something completely different to Sydney, to Australia, to what I'd seen. And I also wanted something that I thought would give me probably a fair amount more of independence than I was used to, and learn new skills, I guess, was the main thing I thought. Honestly, it chose me. I sent off a whole heap. I wanted to come to Africa because I'd been to India, I'd been to China, and I just wanted developing world and somewhere new. And I've always wanted to go to Africa. And I sent off an application to 1,000,001 different hospitals and heard back from St Francis. If we're being specific to the hospital, because otherwise I'd say the safari was fantastic. But for the hospital, I've loved the sense of welcome and community, and I felt like I've had a place here that I've been somewhat needed, and it's a nice change for, you know, the medical student being the bottom of the barrel to actually feeling like you're useful. And really, what is the best thing that I've taken from this place is I'm going home with so much more confidence than I had. You know, I've finally sort of hit that point where I feel like I'm ready to work in the hospitals. It was a little girl, and it had come in to St Luke's, the outpatients, and you just knew it was sick, respiratory distress. Listening to the lungs were very, very messy, and we knew it had to get down to the treatment room straight away and be on oxygen and all the different millions of antibiotics we put on someone when we're not quite sure what they have. And I picked the child up and ran down with the father and another student, and we got there and had managed to put it on the oxygen, I think. And the nurses were great. They'd got lines into both arms straight away, and the other student, Kira, and I were busy writing up the charts and the fluids, and then all of a sudden there was silence. And previous to that, the child had just, I mean, it was this noise that you kept hearing in the background of it trying to breathe. And anyway, we turned around and the child had died. So went through the first motions of declaring someone dead, particularly it was less than 2, I think it was about 18 months or so. So that was upsetting in itself. And then in the meanwhile, the child had defecated as it died, and we said sorry to the father, asked the nurses to say what had happened, and he was staring around in confusion for, I mean, it felt like ages to me, but it must have been a sort of minute, and you could see his hands trembling, and when, you know, we said sorry, and he picked up the chitenga to try and clean the child, and just crumpled. Like the dirty chitenga went up to his face, and I mean, here the women are allowed to weep and wail, and it's sort of a release, but the men are supposed to be a little more stoic, I guess, and just watching him collapse in silent shakes and sobs was awful. What it's taught me is how to cope, maybe. I mean, whether that's in terms of being thrown into the gazillions of situations where we have absolutely no idea what we're doing, and sorry, patience, but this is what you're getting at the moment. I mean, just to go through those initial steps and then to buy enough time to go and get help, or and you know, gaining the. I used to be terrified to stick a needle in someone, and now I'm very willing to give anything a go. And then in terms of, I suppose, the sadness and the death and the dying and just the chronic terminal patients, I never thought that I'd be able to cope with that, and I'm not quite sure how I do, but it's gotten to the point where you can sort of stand back and you can depersonalise it a bit, I think. Maybe you've learned how to not get so attached or take things so personal. I don't know how to explain it. I think probably a lot of in clinic, the joy and the fun and the laughs that you have with the patients and the translators and the clinicians, it's been a ball. It's it's not something staid and boring and patient after patient after patient. It's been good fun. I mean, the Zambians are an amazing culture, an amazing race, and it's been fantastic to spend the last 2 months getting to know that.